Good morning. Muy buenos días. I hope you are well, staying positive and focused on what you can control. Bienvenidos. Welcome to Cafecito con HACE. Drop where you are tuning in from in the chat. Use this opportunity to network, to engage, to chat amongst one another, and to also have your questions ready for our special guest today. My name is Patricia Mota. I serve as president and CEO of HACE, a national organization whose mission since 1982 is to positively impact the American workplace, cultivating the pipeline of talent, providing the insight, access, and support to be successful in their careers. Two key things before we jump in terms of announcements of opportunities that are coming up is this year we've got a lot of seats. And thankful for the Aries Foundation for our Latina Entrepreneurs Program, Mujeres de Asset Entrepreneurs. We've got amazing partner organizations across the nation. So we've got about 200 seats available out there with all of our amazing chambers, economic development organizations, and nonprofits that we're partnering with across the nation to really help accelerate your career, your growth, your business at the end of the day. So it's designed for you and your business growth. And so check it out in the comments section. Go to the HACE website for more information on that as well. And so check it out, that and all of our other programs and events that we have, not only for the remainder of the year that are focused on Hispanic heritage is on the horizon as well. So make sure to check those out. So first thing is first, let's go ahead and welcome our special guest. And I know many of you joining in, make sure to engage in the chat. We have Ignacio López, who's a longtime friend and community leader that I've known for many years now, that currently serving as executive director at the Puerto Rican Arts Alliance. Muy buenos días, Ignacio. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm feeling great, excited. Good stuff.
Yeah. And you got a lot of exciting things coming up, not only in your role, but here very soon. But first thing is first, we are in Cafecito con HACE. So we'll do a salud because you also have your Cafecito
I
con
do.
And like what we like to ask our special guests and everybody that's joining us is, how do you like your cafecito prepared or your morning beverage of choice?
Oh, man. So thank you so much. This morning I went and I purposely found my cafecito mug. Gracias. I actually drink my coffee mostly black, but I lately have been doing a lot of oat milk but no sugar. So, and mostly cold oat milk because I like to drink it fast.
Yeah. Do you drink a lot of it, Ignacio?
I do in the mornings, mostly like 2 or 3 cups in the morning, and then I'm good. If it's a long day, maybe a 3 o'clock coffee, but that's it.
Yeah, I do too, and that's the reason I try to stay away from like the sugar or the because I drink a lot of it. And so all of you tuning in, let us know what you're sipping on this morning or your morning beverage of choice. We got folks that are joining in and in the chat, continue to engage. And Ignacio, tell us about your cultural, your professional background in terms of how you got to your role today. We know you were born in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Raised in Humboldt Park. Many of us who are familiar with Chicago, because I know we have folks tuning in nationwide. This is a very a neighborhood that's strong in terms of our Puerto Rican heritage and community. So how has this bicultural experience shaped your approach to leadership and to where you are today?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So thank you so much. I was born in Puerto Rico. I moved to Chicago and I was fairly young, 3 years old, almost 4, and went right to Humboldt Park and was there my whole life. And later in life, I wound up, playing baseball in Humboldt Park. I think that's what a lot of Puerto Ricans do. We wound up playing ball, but I actually was fortunate enough to attend the University of Central Florida, where I played baseball there, and was in Florida for a while, and moved back to Chicago and became a teacher and sort of been in this community now and sort of worked the ranks. I wound up actually finishing my doctorate degree in psychology and was working in the community that I grew up in over at North
So
Grand.
it's Dr. Lopez.
It's el Dr. Lopez, yeah.
Okay.
Long story
Getting
short.
proud. You got to be proud about that.
Yeah, for sure. But I finished my doctorate, and someone said, "Oh, you have a doctorate degree. You should go be a school principal." And I, was in administration at the time with the Chicago Public Schools, and to be honest, I was not a fan. I didn't like the testing and the sort of some of the data stuff we were doing. I'm a big data guy, but at the time felt like I'm more of the impact on community kind of guy, and wound up becoming a professor, and was blessed enough to sort of rise to the ranks to be a deputy provost, and then later a president over in the city colleges, and and now back into the community. I think those are lessons that we learn in life as you get older, right? It's like, how do you bring sort of this talent back to the community, and also sort of find what you're doing fulfilling as a leader. Loved to do the work in higher ed, but felt a passion and a calling to be right back in the community, working with kids and families and the Latino community, and just trying to find pathways to support our families so that their kids can be successful in college and in their careers.
That's awesome. So I know we've got folks I know you got to meet one of our colleagues, Ana Chepi, saying Boricua power, right? There's a hashtag going up. We got folks joining in. Hi, Marvin from Los Angeles, California. Bienvenido. And as Dr., I'm going to say now because we know your PhD, Dr. Ignacio Lopez, there's also a book in there at some point.
I did.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I was like, I do recall, and I love that for us to share this, right? Because I think it's inspirational for folks, whether they're earlier on in their career or further along and are thinking about, maybe authoring that book or are in transition or wanting to get back to community. I think you have these different milestones that your own story that you've been able to accomplish that I think is critical. So if you want, go ahead. You could tell us a little bit about the book, but then I want our audience to know what you're doing at PRA, which is the Puerto Rican Arts Alliance, and how this evolution has been part of the ripple effect of possibilities that you've been able to lead with.
Yeah, so thank you for that. So the shameless plug is I've written 4 books. The last 2 books were
4.
Yeah. The last two books were with ASCD, and the first one was with Keeping It Real and Relevant, and that's a book on working with diverse children in learning environments, children who don't look like you, and how do you support them and encourage them in culturally relevant ways. And that's the first book. The second book was a book on emotional intelligence and leadership. So how leaders navigate turbulent times, leveraging emotional intelligence, building emotionally intelligent teams, resilient teams. And so that book was published in 2024, and it's called The EQ Way. These books are all available on Amazon. Check them out on Amazon and or on ASCD's website directly. But I say all that because it's the way it's all for me connected to PRA is that cultural relevance piece, right? So why am I leading an arts organization? My running joke was always, I have a degree in nonfiction writing and poetry. My bachelor's degree is in poetry. And when Papi found out that I was majoring in poetry, Papi was like, "¿Qué te pasa?" Right? Like, what's wrong with you? What are you going to do with a poetry degree? But poetry really helped me develop my critical thinking and my writing. Actually, it's what got me into teaching and sort of, the leadership positions that I'm in right now. And so at PRA, it's sort of full circle, right? We are leading an organization that's bringing music and arts education to, children in Chicago, ages 4 to 18. We work with over 10 Chicago public schools. We push in arts and music curriculum into schools that otherwise would not have arts and music, right? And it's grounded in Latino culture. We run what we call the Latin Music Project in the schools. And then we study that, right? So it's one thing for you to have arts and culture in your building. It's another thing to say, this work also promotes the literacy development of our Latino children, right? This work also promotes pathways to the creative economy for Latino children in Chicago. And so we study that, right? So that's sort of like that full circle of like when I was teaching and leading and now writing, I want to be able to lead an arts organization that not only does the doing and the execution, but also writes about it, right? I think that's a bit of advice I always give folks that are emerging as leaders is, write about what you're doing, because people want to know, they want to hear, they want to understand the obstacles you're navigating. And so that's sort of the full circle, like ripple effect, if you will.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I think you make the connection from your degree to what you're doing today, but not only, but how it influenced across, your trajectory, really honed in on the importance of the arts, right? And I think that organizations like PRA are so critical, especially in a time of place where perhaps resources are being taken away or being decreased, right, as it pertains to the arts. And so I think that that's so important, and with your leadership and what you've been able to accomplish, I think es un orgullo Latino that we have here joining us today. Bienvenido. We have Francisco joining us from Orlando, Florida. I know we got some questions, so we'll get to those in a bit. Those of you joining in the chat, drop your questions in, network, connect with one another, use this opportunity to engage and to chat. We talked about what you're doing at the Puerto Rican Arts Alliance, or PRA, and we refer to it as PRA. Can you share a pivotal moment when you realized your cultural identity would be central to your leadership approach? And I think that this is so critical, not only to the ASE community, but I think for folks, when you talk about becoming an effective leader, an influential leader, one of the key things is really being confident in terms of self and who you are, your values, your cultura. And I think sometimes our community, we get stuck and we're not able to do that. And you are a prime example of being able to do that. So please share with our audience.
Yeah. I love to tell a story. Years ago, I wasn't like the greatest reader in high school, right? I don't know that I was the greatest student, but we'll save that for another time. I think I was a good kid, but anyways, I remember going to my
if anybody knew Ignacio growing up, I know we got some folks in Chicago. Go ahead.
The era of wearing starter jackets back in the 90s. You all probably remember that. But anyways, I remember like struggling with school, and one day Mrs. Z, a teacher for 9th grade freshman year, she handed me a story by Judith Ortiz Cofer, New Yorker author, amazing writer. She wrote a story called Silent Dancing. And the story is probably, PG-13 or maybe rated R a little bit, but it, the teachers was like, hey, you should read this. And I was like, whatever. And I read the story called Silent Dancing by Judith Ortiz Cofer. And it was a story about being Puerto Rican during the holidays. It was a story about your tíos jugando domino, comiendo arroz con gandules, all that fun stuff. And I read this story and I saw myself for the first time in a piece of literature, right? I was thinking to myself, oh my God, there's people in these words that are me, that look like me, that sound like me, they have the drunk uncle, Latino, local, all that stuff. And I felt
you're like, it's not just my household.
yeah, totally. So from that moment on, there was something that was like born inside of me that was always seeking connection to my life world reality, right? As a learner, and then later on as a leader. And I felt like I've always tried to find those like cultural connections in everything that I've done, from teaching to being a college leader and to what I'm doing right now. And there are times when you're sort of like feeling bland or feeling like, what am I doing here? Sometimes I would go into my old office and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even like being in this office. Like what? And so I'd always try to figure out like, what, like in my mind, what makes you happy is the cultural thing, the language, hablando así con los latinos, every now and then sprinkling my cultural, Puerto Ricanism, con la bandera or whatever. And when I did that as a leader, I felt grounded. And so fast forward, I've just been blessed to sort of now be in this leadership position where I can be completely and authentically who I am, even to the point where I can tell all my Pepito jokes, con la gente aquí and my team. We have a team of 15 people here, and they already know, here comes Ignacio con su chiste. And it feels, but the work gets done, right? But it's this sort of like vibe that you can create as a leader if you tap into the cultural thing. And I'm not apologetic about it anymore. I felt like years ago as a younger leader, I felt like I had to hide my Puerto Ricanness. I couldn't wear my little pins, and when I finally broke free from that is when I finally feel like I emerged as a stronger leader.
100%. And I think no matter where you are and folks that are tuning in, it's how looking for, whether if it's not in your current career, but looking for organizations like PRA, HACE, there's many out there that you can be a part of, you can engage with, participate in programs, events to really help you, right, with that aspect that makes us proud. And we got Berenice on our team laughing, saying Pepito jokes. She said, haven't heard those in a minuto. Love the Spanglish, right? I think that's another thing to throw it in. We've got Izzy from Boston, Massachusetts, Denny's from Edmonton, Alberta. Bienvenidos. We're getting ready to wrap up. If you have any burning questions, I have my last question and then we'll open it up. Is talking about PRA, what are new pathways that you are excited or creating for Puerto Rican and Latino cultural leaders and artists?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I know prior to starting the call, you and I were talking a bit about the conditions that a lot of nonprofits are in. And I wound up saying, hope is not a strategy. I think for any of us in leading in nonprofit organizations or the arts in general, we have to be very diligent to leverage a lot of these business tools and tactics and how we monitor and measure our progress and all those things. So that's been a big sort of shift for us culturally here as an organization. And then looking to the future, right? Where and how can we get creative in finding sponsorships with, as an example, Goya, right? So we have funding from the government that allowed us to do arts and music programming in schools. As we all know, that funding is in limbo for a lot of us. And so how do we can't just wait and hope that the money turns on. We have to be proactive in saying, hey, Goya, can you get us some food or some donations, or hey, other sponsor, can you? And so how do we sort of move forward strategically to keep programming, arts and music programming alive in our schools? The other thing we started to do is start to say, what about these particular pathways, right? Because going back to my dad's, you're going to major in poetry, ¿qué pasa contigo? Like a lot of Latino parents, they don't know that that there is a creative economy that it exists in our society. And a lot of these jobs, especially in production, live production, sound engineering, recording for multimedia organizations, there's not a lot of Latinos in that space. And so how do organizations like PRA take that 16-year-old who's super inspired to do recording, music, sound engineering, and find pathways, paid pathways for that Latino kid who's going to hone his or her skills and then enter into working for larger organizations like Live Nation, or working with the big projects like Lala or Sueños or all that stuff that we do here in Chicago. And so grateful to the Illinois Arts Council now that we're doing some youth employment grants to sort of skate into sort of these areas. And then I know we got some folks zooming in or calling in from Orlando, but the Puerto Rican Arts Alliance, we host the National Cuatro Festival every year. This year, Michael Stewart is going to be headlining that show for us. And the question we keep getting from people in Orlando and in New York is, man, when are you going to bring the Cuatro Festival to Orlando? And so, we're looking at finding those partners in Orlando and New York and other parts of the country where we can expand our concert series as well. And so that's sort of the next, 5 to 8 years for PRA.
Wonderful. A lot of great things. And believe it or not, we're almost running out of time. We have a question, and if we don't get to all the questions, feel free to, we'll share the video and Ignacio would have access to it. So Marvin, thank you for being amazing. Question: did you participate in any leadership program that helped you build executive presence as you moved up in the leadership ranks?
Great question. Thank you, Marvin. Yes. And by the way, for the emerging leaders out there, and even for the seasoned leaders, you want to get better at getting better. You always want to be a learner.
100%.
And you want to advocate with your employer. And I challenge my team on this every day. Like if your professional goal, if you bring me your professional goals plan as part of our performance review, and if your plan doesn't include attending conferences or seeking growth opportunities, I'm gonna make you go back and rewrite that into your professional goals for our team. Why? Because when I was a young leader, I went right to our senior chief academic officer and I said, I want to be in your shoes in 10 years. What can I do? And she actually got me into Penn State. So I did a chief officer training at Penn State for a year. Grateful for that opportunity. And then later in life was challenged to enter leadership, Greater Chicago, all my LGC people out there. Probably one of the most, including you, one of the most influential and impactful. So not only do you learn in these opportunities, but you also build a strong network that will carry you when you sidestep or misstep or when you fall. Because as leaders, we all have some sort of setbacks, but you'll never lose your network. So great question. Yes, I did the Penn State training and I did LGC Chicago, and I challenge all of you out there listening. Yes, sign up, seek training, do your certificate training, keep growing, because that will get you to the next level.
100%. We have to wrap up. Any last words of advice or hope that you want to share with the audience before we wrap it up?
No, I just want to say thank you so much. I appreciate what you are doing, Patricia and Asa. I've known you a long time, and I value the work that you guys do in really, developing and growing the next generation of Latino leaders and career builders. And if you're in Chicago, folks, Saturday, we got Noche Caribeña at Navy Pier, August 23rd. Manolito Rodriguez, directly from Puerto Rico, is going to headline. He's a big timbalero. Bring your salsa shoes, your dancing shoes, August 23rd at 6 o'clock at Navy Pier. If you are in Chicago, join us.
For those of you in Chicago and then the other cities, I know we had Orlando represented and some of the other markets. I guess to be announced in the future, right?
Yeah, we will follow us. Yeah, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Bra Chicago. Visit us at praachicago.org. Follow us. We're continuing to grow, and we'd love to visit you in your neighborhood one day.
Bueno, Dr. Ignacio Lopez, thank you for sharing your time, your insights with us today. Eres as they say, Boricua Power.
Boricua Power.
Thank you. Y to all of you tuning in, hasta la próxima. Until next time, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.